Dead Presidents podcast is brought to you in part by Red Berry, who has a very important message. Whiskey, whiskey, whiskey. About 1,000 gallons in single or double barrels of a superior quality to soften these hard times. It will be sold at public auction at the residence of Red Berry in Sumner County. Also available, a quantity of prime gin. Sale to commence at 10 o'clock on the 18th instant. Listeners, we all know times are tough, but nothing will soften them more surely than a barrel or two of high-quality whiskey, courtesy of our sponsor, Red Berry. Don't drown your sorrows with bottom-shelf swill. Red Berry's got the good stuff. He gave us a little taste, and we have to admit, it went down so smooth, we ended up drinking more than we intended and might not be able to finish the podcast coherently. If whiskey's not your thing, he's got you covered with the primest of prime gin. Get on down to Red Berry's house on the 18th. You don't want to miss this auction. The Dead Presidents podcast is brought to you in part by Dr. Evans Beautifying Lotion. Lotion, lotion, lotion. Dr. Evans Beautifying Lotion is highly esteemed for curing all eruptions, coarseness, redness, and pimples on the face, neck, or hands, and effectually cleaning the complexion and removing all diseases of the skin. Nothing contributes so much to our general success in life as an engaging first appearance. A beautiful and healthful complexion is the pride of all who possess it, and the envy of those who are deprived of it. What can be so affecting to a beautiful female, in whose face nature has displayed her power, as to find her complexion discolored with disgusting pimples, which diminish her charms? Dr. Evans Beautifying Lotion purifies the skin and produces a beautiful hue. It is the only cosmetic a lady should use at her toilet. Gentlemen will also find this a delightful remedy. It is particularly recommended to be used after shaving, as it will prevent the otherwise certain effect of all common soap in turning the beard prematurely gray. Listeners, don't walk around making people sick with your hideously disfigured face, your grotesque and revolting appearance can be a thing of the past. With Dr. Evans Beautifying Lotion, you'll have the whole world in the palm of your smoothly unblemished hand. A whole new you awaits. That's a message from our sponsor, Dr. Evans Beautifying Lotion.
Now a word from our sponsor, Dr. Hitchcock's Worm Tea. Worms, worms, worms. Dr. Hitchcock's unrivaled and unequaled worm tea is a sovereign remedy for worms. Strange and incredible are the effects of those detestable vermin. Many persons go through a distressing course of medicine without any benefit when they might be relieved by using Dr. Hitchcock's worm tea. This invaluable medicine has been tested by the experience of more than 16,000 persons of various ages over 10 years, and not one solitary complaint.
Impressive.
Hundreds have called unsolicited and given their decided preference to it. After trying different articles sent forth to the public, they have pronounced Dr. Hitchcock's Worm Tea the most safe, effectual, and convenient remedy that can be obtained. In not one of the thousands of instances where it has been used agreeable to the printed directions has it ever failed. If you're like most of our listeners, you probably have vile and loathsome worms setting up shop in your intestines like they own the place. Don't let these insidious parasites sap your health.
No.
16,000 people have gone from worm-infested to worm-free with Dr. Hitchcock's Worm Tea. You can be number 16,001.
I was number 15,559, James.
And no complaints from you.
No complaints from me.
That's a message from our sponsor, Dr. Hitchcock's Worm Tea. Now a word from our sponsor, J.S. Morris & Company. Opium, opium, opium. 150 pounds of the best Turkish opium just received and offered for sale by J.S. Morris & Company. We're required to read this warning from the Scientific American. Opium has long been known as a deadly and dangerous narcotic, a slow and rapid poison. Opium drunkenness is a horrible vice of the Turks and Chinese. Its drunken dreams are pleasing but lead to terrible results. The habit of opium eating is perhaps the most dangerous of all others, the most alluring, and the most difficult to break up. That being said, J.S. Morris & Company is your go-to source for all your opium needs. We're not talking about crummy East Indian opium here. This stuff is from Turkey and is the absolute best in the world, guaranteed to induce the most pleasing dreams. J.S. Morris & Company have 150 pounds in stock, so they've got you covered for the foreseeable future. After you get a taste of this Turkish delight, we're confident you'll be a return customer. That's a message from our sponsor, J.S. Morris & Company. We're also proud to be sponsored by Thomas Seaver, who publishes this important notice. Whereas my wife Deborah has left my bed and board without any provocation, this notice is to forbid any person harboring or trusting her on my account, as I shall pay no debts of her contracting after this date, for I have made ample provision for her support. Listeners, watch out for Deborah Seaver. She deserted her poor husband Thomas for no apparent reason. He gave her no provocation, provided her ample support. I don't see how she could even begin to defend herself here.
This just in, we have a breaking news update. Deborah Seaver has just published a response defending herself against her husband's allegations.
It has become my painful duty to state to the public more facts in regard to a notice lately published. I publicly deny leaving my board without cause, and that cause in the first instance was the rum jug. What have I not suffered by that demon of destruction? For years I have striven in vain to induce my companion to abandon the use of intoxicating liquors. I have suffered abuse in every shape that human ingenuity, with the assistance of that child of hell, could invent. And in the last instance, forced from my home with abusive threats and violent blows, from a home that I toiled unceasingly for many years to acquire, it is stated that I left my bed and board. I was sent to the neighbors for a short time, and when I returned, my bed was gone, carried away and hid, and I forbidden to enter the house. What I have suffered since that time I will not attempt to describe. Turned from my home by the companion of my youth and his instigators upon the cold charities of an unfriendly world, publicly posted to the ridicule of the public. If such treatment can receive public sanction when the facts are known, what will not the community believe? I deny the charge laid before me in the former notice, and forbid all and everyone from trusting or believing that or any other false accusations which may hereafter be presented to them. And I would warn all to beware how they indulge in intoxicating drinks, for ye know not the evil thereof.
Listeners, we retract our earlier publication of Thomas Seaver's scurrilous defamation of his innocent wife. We apologize for letting this rum-soaked deceiver put one over on us. We must have been hitting the bottle ourselves when we agreed to air that
baseless calumny. After a dose of sobering truth from Deborah, we won't make the same mistake again. This has been a message from our sponsor, the Vindicated, Deborah Seaver.
Now an important message from our sponsor, P. Woolfolk Jr. Rum, rum, rum. Large quantities of superior old rum for sale by P. Woolfolk Jr. at 180 Broad Street. Listeners, P. Woolfolk Jr. is a one-stop shop for your own personal demon of destruction. Mosey on down to 180 Broad Street and get in line behind Thomas Seaver for a taste of rum so good it's worth losing a spouse over. That's a message from our sponsor, P. Woolfolk Jr.
Now a word from our sponsor, L.G. Lloyd's Furniture and Coffin Warehouse. Coffins, coffins, coffins. L.G. Lloyd has in store the best assortment of coffins to be found in the country. He has 5 different styles of metallic burial cases and caskets, beautifully finished in imitation of rosewood. He also has all sizes of rosewood, mahogany, black walnut, cherry, and pine coffins in every variety of finish. In addition to his common coffins, L.G. Lloyd has a new style of coffin and casket of his own manufacture, covered in black cloth and velvet. These are not an imitation. L.G. Lloyd has had for years an idea of his own, and he is the first to present a cloth-covered casket to his patrons and friends. He will continue to follow his ideas in the future and make just as many black cloth and velvet-covered coffins and caskets as his friends may wish to buy from him. These and other coffins in all sizes and every variety of finish to be found at L.G. Lloyd's Furniture and Coffin Warehouse. Listeners, the end of the war has left L.G. Lloyd overstocked with high-quality coffins, and prices are so low that the bereaved are almost lucky to have a loss occur now rather than later. The bloody fighting is over, but your loved ones could still die at any minute from a host of other causes, and there's no better way to show your love than by laying them to rest in an attractive black cloth-covered coffin designed and manufactured by L.G. Lloyd. We know you would never disrespect your fallen family member by depositing their mortal remains in one of the shabby, second-rate coffins sold by L.G. Lloyd's less reputable competitors. The only choice for all your corpse housing needs is L.G. Lloyd's Furniture and Coffin Warehouse.